And this is very clearly brought out in Activity 21, or I hope to bring it out clearly. Letter A is a quotation that was very important to me in my understanding of government. So you'll see it repeated a few times in the book. It begins by talking about the two meanings of liberty that we've already studied. Common sense teaches us that we need a government to protect us from our fellow man. History teaches us that we need protection from the sovereign, from government. We also need protection from governments. He goes on, MacDonald goes on to say, liberties in this sense consisted in limitations on the powers of the sovereign and this is the important part, a sharing enjoyed by freemen in the exercise of those powers. So to be free requires that the people have a share in the exercise of the powers of government. We do that by choosing our representatives in elections, and then they make the laws. And again, if you read this passage carefully, it goes back to this idea of needing to be protected from the sovereign. This is how we are protected from our government, by self-government, by sharing in what the government does to make sure that the government doesn't do anything to harm us. This is also brought out in letter B by Kent, an important legal authority in the early 1800s in the United States. So he names the rights that we've seen, the sacred triangle rights of life, liberty, and property, or personal security, personal liberty, property, using the terms of Blackstone. And then he says, the effectual security and enjoyment of these rights depend on civil liberty. And what is civil liberty? Civil liberty is being protected and governed by laws made or assented to by the representatives of the people. In other words, just what we're studying here, living under laws made by our representatives in a legislature. So this picture that I have here is the evil side of governments, which can harm us, and we've seen that, how harmful governments can be. And then what's the barrier that's going to protect us from government? It is self-government. And so here we are safe because self-government protects us from government. I just get the sense that a lot of people are never really taught or learn what the purpose of democracy is, and I sort of had to learn it the hard way by studying passages like these. This is also Hamilton's point in letter C. The members of Parliament divest us of that moral security, that security of life, liberty, and property, or as he says, that moral security for our lives and properties, which we're entitled to, we have a right to, and which is the primary end of society to bestow. We've already studied that. He goes on to say, for such security can never exist while we have no part in making the laws that are to bind us. The only way that we can be secure in our life, liberty, and property and not have government harm us in those rights is if we have a part in making the laws, so that we choose our representatives and they make the laws. That will protect us from government. That's why there was that big deal, the phrase that everybody mentions, no taxation without representation. They knew that the only way they can protect their property from the government of Great Britain was by having representatives that could stand up against excessive taxation. Or, they wanted to only be taxed through their state or colonial legislatures where they had the representatives. Letter D makes the same point, and the First Continental Congress goes so far as to say that the right of self-government is the first grand right. Why is it first? It's first because if you don't have this right, you won't enjoy any of the others. You will not enjoy your life, liberty, and property if you don't have self-government, because government will always be harming you in your life, liberty, and property. So they say that the first grand right is having a share in your own government by your representatives chosen by yourselves, and not being ruled by edicts of men over whom you have no control. If you don't have any control over them, they're going to hurt you. And notice what they say, this is a bulwark surrounding and defending their property. You're going to see in the words of the founders this word come up a lot, bulwark or barrier. A bulwark is a wall of protection. So you can think of this as a bulwark, a wall of protection that protects us from government in our life, liberty, and